Hi there, listeners. We here at BrainDeath would like to remind you that everything we say here is just our opinion, bro. There's no need to get your knickers in a twist over what comes out of our mouths. BrainDeath also contains mature humor, adult themes, and a good deal of foul language. Listener discretion is definitely advised.
You sure you're up to this?
This is BrainDeath, and
Ed sounds particularly brain dead tonight.
We hate ourselves.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. See, this episode we decided, in our infinite wisdom, to go back and revisit something that we had laughed about previously. Not in a podcast, but just amongst ourselves and our friends. And we thought, it's been several years since we've, kind of delved into this thing. It can't be as bad as we remember.
Of course not.
No, it turns out that much like a PTSD victim, we just blocked the worst of it from our memories.
Because, I should say that when Ed brought this topic up, I had no idea what he was talking about. When he sent me a screen cap of it, I was like, I'm really not picking up what you're putting down here. But once the video rolled, it all came flooding back. It came flooding back in the same sense that somebody from Afghanistan came back, picked up a Call of Duty game, and got hit by a flashbang for the first time in-game, and went screaming, running out of the house in his fucking underwear. Which was actually a thing that happened, before anyone calls me on bullshit. That was the same kind of repressed... I had blocked this out until it was brought back up, and I don't know whether or not to thank Ed or punch him next time I get to see him in the flesh. Probably both. It's... Oh God. Take it away, Ed, before I rant any longer.
You see, the other day I was doing my usual internet browsing bullshit, just kind of goofing off, and I came across a screen cap of an animated video. It's on YouTube, called Mike and Melissa. And I thought, oh God, I remember this. Why do I remember this? And I'm like, Josh, I've shown you this before, right? I know I have. And much like he just mentioned, Josh was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, we just got done watching Mike and Melissa, episode 1. Mike Goes Crazy. It's the rough pilot. The rough pilot. He couldn't even be bothered to finish this thing.
To be fair, there are plenty of more than good reasons why that is the case.
Yeah. Every single thing about this video is offensive on a deep personal level.
Not offensive as in they said the term faggot too many times, but offensive as in just like to your personal being. As a mortal human creature watching this video, oh my god.
It offended me that I am of the same species of creature that created this.
It's like, isn't that why we're furries? To get away from this? But no. Just when you think there's nowhere to go but up from here, the internet, it finds a way to pull you back down. The overused trope of just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. No, that's not even adequate in this case. It's just when I thought I might have at least half a shred of sanity left, YouTube comes along, and YouTube says no.
When there's no place left to go but up, the fandom will only bring you down.
And that's the thing. Ed and I discussed this. We're not even really sure if this qualifies as like a fandom piece.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, for those of you who aren't aware of what the fuck this thing is, this is an animation project that this guy did for his college class. It is drawn in MS Paint. I am 95% certain. The animation is it's animation technically, like there are series of images and they move in a sequence that gives the illusion of motion, but that is a very thin illusion being presented to us.
To be fair, for something that was most likely drawn in MS Paint, it's let me just qualify this. For something drawn in MS Paint, its animation is decent. But I use that word with the utmost motherfucking caution.
That's like saying the 89 Chevy Lumina that my aunt bought, whose motor has been blown out twice, runs well for what it is.
For what it is, being the key function of the statement. Yeah, it's interesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ed, but I believe this was not an actual class project of his, but it was
like
just
an
something.
Assignment. No, it wasn't something that was assigned. From what I've read, it was just something that he went to his professor and said, "Hey, I did this, can we show it in class?" And what he proceeds to show to his college animation class is 15 minutes and 45 seconds of his depressed wanking.
Literally, in at least one scene, literally
yes,
depressed wanking.
Yes, it has a masturbation scene and fade to black sex with a horribly drawn purple manic pixie girlfriend skunk thing.
There really aren't sufficient adjectives within the English language to adequately describe whatever entity it is that he is engaging with in the last 2/3 of the video. I don't mean that to even sound condescending. I'm just being honest. it kind of starts out though like in a very bizarre way. It starts out like. Should we just cut to the frat party type scene? Is that where it should go?
No, because the first bit of the film, what do we even call this? Because I feel like calling it a film is an insult to cinema as a whole.
Oh God, even M. Night Shyamalan should be fucking screaming somewhere on Earth, like he can't hear the words that are being spoken, but somewhere deep inside his scalp is just it. Feels like it's being incinerated.
Every time somebody watches this on YouTube, M. Night Shyamalan gets a migraine.
Like a crippling migraine, too. The kind that makes you fall off of your fucking chair and scream in pain, and you don't know why.
Oh.
But introduce us to the beginning of the video, Ed, if you would.
So it opens with this dude. This is his self-insert character to the point where, like, he actually has this weird-ass hat that the character is wearing, like, in real life. It's weird. Like,
I'm not to interrupt, but I'm going to interrupt. I still, the hat, the helmet, it is still triggering the fuck out of me, and I will probably mention that at least one more time before this is over. I cannot fucking tell if it's a hockey helmet, a baseball helmet, a football helmet without a face guard, or some type of hat. But regardless of what it is, it has ears tacked onto the very front of it that are in line with his eyeballs. Okay.
You know, like no species on Earth has.
Well, the skunk does. I don't know. Like I said, I'm done spurging about the fucking hat. I will concede that it is a hat of some manner.
But the way it's drawn, it legit looks like some sort of helmet that this guy's wearing.
Yeah, I'm still, like, the jury is out for me on whether or not it's a hat or a helmet. Like, it looks like okay. All right. I just can't let this go. Like, okay. Yeah.
It has tickled your tism.
It has not just tickled my tism, it has reached between the legs and slapped its ball sack. Okay, Minnesota Vikings. You know the colors, like that purple and gold?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a Minnesota Vikings helmet that's, like, been kind of shaved down a bit and had the face guard removed and 2 ears put on top of the helmet where the face guards should begin. I'm just really having a hard time seeing it any other fucking way. Especially because, you know what, I'll save it for later on because my tism is going to get triggered again as we go into this.
So, it opens up with this dude standing in a mirror, making faces at himself, and then he howls, and way too many people that should be in that house tell him to shut the fuck up. It's one of the most awkward scenes, like, especially for an opening shot.
Oh my god, hands down. It's like this guy was standing there in the mirror and he suddenly thinks he's at Midwest Fur Fest during the 10 p.m. howl and forgets he's not actually at Midwest Fur Fest during the 10 p.m. howl and just starts howling at his fucking mirror like a madman. And then there's all kinds of, like, shrieking noises and it's just It is a physically uncomfortable scene to witness as a human being. Oh god, that scene. Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then it goes through a few other scenes where he does just mundane bullshit and ends up hating himself for it. Like, he can't draw, he can't, like, play a video game properly. He's a complete failure at fucking everything.
Except for wearing that hat. Because it's on him the whole time.
Yes, yeah, no, he literally, every scene this dude is in, including the masturbation and the sex scenes, he is wearing this helmet. So, then he goes to the bus stop, where we see the shirt that he's wearing, and it literally is just a white shirt with, in Comic Sans font, mind you, Mike the Hardcore Plus Awesome, which is apparently a shirt that the guy who created this thing owns in real life.
Wait, what?
Yes. Hold on one sec. I will find you the photo.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know that I want to see it.
There. Which, of course, the picture is taken in a fucking basement, because...
Where else would it be taken, man? Might I add that the scene that depicts him wearing the shirt was so uncannily done that I wasn't completely sure whether it was actually part of the animation itself or whether it was some edit that had been slapped on later as kind of a joke. Completely dead serious. I was not sure whether it was part of the original animation or some fucking later edit intended as a joke. Fuck, you guys got to see it for yourself. Oh, man.
This thing is so bad. So...
although, Ed, might I add, in the photo that you sent me of this, it doesn't quite look like Mike. Can you take a look at that and tell me if I'm just a mighty terrible anti-Semite, or if it just looks like he has the word Mike typed right across his fucking man-ditties.
It does. You gotta look at it from a certain angle, but once you hit that angle, it's like,
you can't look back. There ain't no looking back. Once you go 1488, you ain't gonna never be no half-baked. Oh, Jesus, fuck. So, now that I've interrupted your train of thought, he's standing at this fucking bus stop or whatnot with this...
Yeah, with what I'm assuming is a woman. And he mentally tells her, "You should talk to me." And she looks at him and she walks away. And he gets upset about this.
To be fair, I couldn't tell if it was a woman or just like a really buff dude with long blonde hair. Like,
because goddamn, those were some good pecs.
Exactly. It's like, fuck. I can't tell.
He does some bullshit class that he's making fun of. Now, okay, I probably should have brought this up a little earlier. Throughout this entire thing, he does, like, what would you call them? Like, the irreverent joke? Like, the fucking... nothing is serious to this guy. Like, everything has to, like, he has to try and take the piss out of everything. You know, like, he's sitting in his little film class, and the guy's like, there's the horizontals and the verticals, and they're all contained within the rectangle. You know, like, obviously making fun of his professor. But
Yeah.
he does it, like, with every single thing he can.
Well, from the bus stop he goes to his class, and it is like a film class of some type. And if any of our listeners have been through film classes before, whether or not it's your major, if you've been through them, you know there's a decent bit of bullshit in them. And this guy just capitalizes on that in a way that is so overdone it's almost not funny. I mean, like, it wouldn't be funny to anyone who hasn't themselves been through a film class, because they wouldn't get the stereotypically, well, or the cliche almost, I get waxing that occurs within these classes. But even for those who have been through them, it's overdone to a point that it's just kind of cringy. It's like, all right, we get the joke. We get the joke. These film classes are...
You could have stopped like 5 sentences ago.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason for this joke to be this extended or go on this long. It's just becoming verbose, not comical. Which, if he's been through so many of these film classes, you would think he would have gotten by now, but maybe that's why he finds them so uninteresting, because he's not picking anything up from them. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's this professor, and he keeps talking about, like, the rectangle, framing the screen, and the animation goes over and over and over so many times that it got to the point where the only thing in the frame of this video I could look at was the quote-unquote professor's arm moving up in this cyclical circular motion, like something out of South Park after somebody fucking hit the VCR and made it skip. It just, and like Ed was saying, it gets into this kind of attempt at satire that he makes of just about everything you can think of. And
satire, that's the word. Yeah,
it's really an attempt at satire.
He really does try to satire, like, everything he can think of. Like, that. Okay, so the next scene is they go to a party, him and his friends, who are apparently a metal band.
Racially diverse metal band, might I add.
Might I add, they have the one token black guy.
Of course!
And everybody at the party has, like, some satirical fucking phrase on their shirt making fun of, like, what that kind of person would typically wear.
Douche. Douche on the hat. Douche limited on the shirt.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
It's and so, like, he and his quote unquote metalhead friends, who genuinely do come off as, like, the introverted, socially inept outcasts that I think they are actually modeled after. I mean, if this person that wrote this is anything to base that off of, if that was the goal, which I can only hope it was, it comes off as that. And
Jesus.
fuck, I mean, they're out of place at this frat party. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he makes it painfully obvious, does he not?
Oh, God, it's... There... Yeah, it is one of the most painful scenes in this entire film. But, to be fair, it has the two things that made us laugh the hardest. One was the indie band's tuba player had a shirt that said another esoteric reference, which actually made Josh and I chuckle.
Because it was almost in reference to everything else he'd been doing. It was almost him making fun of himself. And at the same time...
clearly that wasn't like what it was intended, but in the context it was presented, it was like, wow, you really hit the nail on the head there, buddy.
Yeah, it almost seemed like a moment of self-awareness in that particular context. And given the context that it was in, with this, like, somewhat, I guess you would call, I guess the best word would be, like, really hipstery band they have displayed, that shirt is also probably relatively true to life. So it's one of the few times that this attempt at satire actually paid off, because it not only seemed to be poking fun of himself, but it was genuinely something that I think anybody who has ever seen like a hipster band in person can relate to and say, yeah, actually, that's totally accurate.
The other thing that made at least myself laugh, and I think you laughed, once I pointed it out, you could not let it go, was they have a song that plays during, like, this little fucking montage, basically, of, like, this dude sucking at this party. And it's, it's drinks, beer, pours the beer, takes a piss, drinks, beer, pours the beer, takes a piss. The sound effects for both the beer pouring and the pissing were him literally going psst into the mic and then pitch shifted. And once I pointed this out to Josh...
I don't think they were even pitch shifted.
The one for the pissing was the same sound, just pitch shifted up a couple of levels.
I didn't even notice the pitch shifting. I'm sorry. But go ahead. Don't let me distract you now. You're on a roll.
Once I pointed this out to Josh, though, he could not let it the fuck go. He's like, oh my god, every time that fucking sound effect plays now. Because you can just imagine the dude, like, at least I can, just imagine him standing in front of a mic, like, going, psst, 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 like, trying to get the perfect sound effect.
And the worst thing is, every time I mentally pictured that, it was just a close-up of his mouth and his pedo stash. His fucking pedo stash that his character has. Just a close-up of that, and all the fucking hairs. And all the crinkles in the fucking lips. He's going... Psh, psh, and getting closer and further away from the laptop microphone that he was using. I mean, I'm using a laptop microphone, but I at least have the common decency to be like, I don't know, 5-6 feet away from it. Yes, that triggered my tism as well. You will notice throughout this entire podcast that my tism can be very easily triggered like a fucking rat trap if the circumstances are correct.
So his little metal band friends collectively flip their shit, beat up the indie band, toss them out of the party. one dude randomly beats on the drums, which
Oh,
I don't think you caught it, but the drum like speed up happened a good 3 seconds before the guy even got anywhere near the kit.
Oh yeah, like when the first time we went through it, I didn't even realize that the speed up of the drums and the change of the music were interconnected with the visuals that we were supposed to be seeing. Because like, I mean, you're watching this and it's these disgruntled metalhead fuckboys at this hipster faggot concert, and I don't know if this was loosely based on some sort of real life experience or more likely just some fantasy he had in his head of being with his hard ass metalhead friends, having to deal with the hipster faggot like pussy, and just basically throwing him off the stage because the drummer, like literally the guy with the Metallica shirt and the backwards cap, like just
This is not metal! Which
literally says that and leaps up on stage and pulls the drummer off of the fucking drum set and throws him into God knows where and just starts like blasting out fucking heavy
blast
tempo
beats and shit. Yeah.
Like heavy tempo metal drum. It just like what? It's like the fantasy you and I probably had when we were like 15.
Except this guy held on to it long enough to be able to animate it.
And get into the age where he would be in college to do so.
So, he wakes up back home and he's depressed.
After drinking a shitload, might I add, because he gets drunk. He gets drunk and pisses on a tree.
He gets wasted at this party. A fun little factoid. The skunk girl in this that we're about to discuss had a voice actor who was quite honestly
decent,
slightly too talented for this project. Like, she wasn't great, but she at least had a modicum of skill, which is more than I can say for anybody else that worked on this.
Which, if you're watching it, you wouldn't know anybody else had worked on it aside from the voice actor that plays the magical fucking skunk girl that is basically like a reskin of Genie.
So, I bring that up because the dude gets shit-faced and he's talking to a girl at the party, and the girl is very obviously voiced by a guy. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, why didn't he just get the skunk girl's voice actress to, like, cut the one fucking extra line for this chick?
Yeah, he's, like, sitting on a couch, obviously shit-faced, and boring the hell out of this woman that he's trying to, you know, get interested in a conversation with, and he's talking about his metal band and generally being very honest to the fact that this character is being a complete drunken twat, and the woman is like just kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go get another beer. I'm gonna get another beer. He's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you do that. Oh wait, she's gone. That's like kind of the extent of it, but it's like Ed was saying, it's obviously voiced, I think, by the same person doing the voice for the main character, if I'm not mistaken. They sound...
Yeah, just like the stereotypical guy trying to sound like a girl, but failing miserably.
The stereotypical guy doing a caricature of a girl's voice.
Yeah. A valley girl, mind you, too. That made it even better.
I mean, aren't all university women valley girls?
Right.
This is me being an ass, I guess, but. And yeah, it just kind of baffles me. It's like you got this other. Maybe it was a time thing. Maybe that was all animated and recorded before he was able to get somebody to do the skunk girl that comes in later. But I don't know. It's just a really odd decision. And you know, I can get really fucking autistic about like video editing and auditing decisions like I did with Bitter Lake. I got really autistic about some of that stuff. Like, just editing.
So, he's on his bed, and we have the wonderful masturbation scene, complete with squirting hand lotion into his hand, rubbing it together, and then noises.
Yeah, this is after he has apparently blacked out at the party and magically been transported back to his home and is just lying in bed, mind you. With no explanation. No explanation whatsoever.
He's like, I need somebody to love me. Cue in the manic pixie imaginary girlfriend. If I talk about this at length, I am going to... I don't know. Basically, the way it's explained is his imagination projects this purple skunk girl into fucking being. Because he's lonely. Because his girlfriend just broke up with him. Because he's crazy. Which he brings up at every chance after this point. Yeah.
It's like, 1 minute, he's waking up after blacking out at this fucking party, and he tosses off, and he gets up, and goes to the bathroom, and he's talking to himself the entire time. And then as he's walking out of the bathroom, still talking to himself, which, like, in some context, I mean, yeah, I'm sure people might get up and say, wow, to themselves when no one's around, wow, I fucked up so bad. How did I fuck up that bad? Like, why did I get so drunk even when no one's around? It's that not that kind of talking to yourself, though. Like, it goes far more in depth. And suddenly a voice answers him, and he looks over, and on his bed is this purple skunk girl, although at one point she rolls over onto her back. I suppose, which is supposed to be sensual, but it actually just kind of transforms the character into this amorphous blob of black lines and purple on the bed that is in no definitive human shape whatsoever, aside from two round objects that somewhat resemble breasts if you look at them sideways through a kaleidoscope.
Yeah, like she sits up, and I think I made the comment, Jesus fucking Christ, she's built like a linebacker.
Yeah, like at one point, like she sits up and he sits down next to her, and when she sits up, I'm like, holy motherfucking shit, it's like a purple Tim Tebow with the anime face. I don't know what the fuck is going on right now. Is this a female? It sounds like a female. It's got eyelashes, but wait, is this like...
But it apparently got his dick hard.
Is it? Oh my god, I figured it out. It's a purple Bruce Jenner. There we go. That fucking solves it all.
Excuse me, Caitlyn?
So now that our brave hero Mike, the pedo stash Mike, has begun to talk to his own delusions and realize that they are the anthropomorphic form of Bruce Jenner, shit just gets like weirder because it starts to get romantic, but there's no build up. It's just like that was one of the things that got me, man.
I'm a figment of your imagination. Let's fuck. Is essentially how that played out, and he just rolls with it.
Oh yeah. Like I mean, there's like some I want to call it feigned sheepishness. And I think everybody knows what that is when you're pretending to be a little bit kind of sheepish about it. Like oh I don't know, but bullshit, you know. There's some of that
bullshit. You're getting in there.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a little bit of that going on, and then it just descends into sex, and then they wake up. They quote unquote they wake up in the morning, and it's like I guess this is where the crazy part comes in because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Either he and correct me if I'm getting the timeline wrong here. He fucks this figment of his imagination after he's already fapped and began talking to himself afterwards, and suddenly it's like time for him to go to class within the next like hour or so, and he goes into this weird kind of, he's essentially mocking his film class again. He talks about how he has to go see this Russian film, blah blah blah, and he kind of brings up some of the same stuff he was mocking the professor for in the earlier parts of the video. And like this purple skunk Bruce Jenner like just starts filling in his thoughts for him basically. She's like, oh yeah, so you're gonna go, it's all within a rectangle, and everybody watches it, and it's super depressing, and there you go, that's all there is to it. And he looks at her with this like fucking classic cartoon smiling character looking back at another character that's having like a moment of realization, like, oh my god, you're right. Like fucking Ash Ketchum, literally anytime Misty says something that's even moderately interesting.
Come on, man. Don't get the Pokemon fans after us.
The Pokemon fans
like,
can suck my dick. They can suck my Lycanroc cock.
Lycanroc hard.
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my god. I'm never going to be able to think about that character the same way again after that. Thanks, Ed.
You're welcome.
Every time I use Stealth Rock and fucking Rock Spike, I'm going to think of that.
How have you been using Rock Spike and not been thinking of that?
I don't know. Maybe because I'm not a sick fuck.
Anyway, yeah, like at this point, the whole story just kind of breaks down. Like, they go on a walk and she explains a bunch of shit to him. At this point, I'm just like, my brain is numb. I can't process anything else.
Yeah, like she just explains to him everything that he's supposedly going to learn at this class from watching this film, as if he doesn't need to go to it because she just told him everything. And then she's like, yeah, let's go for a walk instead. It's like, okay. I mean, that could potentially be romantic if maybe the woman he was with was actually a film student herself and had already taken the classes and knew them like the back of her hand, and like, but that's not the case because it's a figment of his fucking imagination, and it's just like, dude, what the fuck? So like I was saying, they go on this walk, and I'm not really sure what the fuck happened when they went on the fucking walk. I don't know about you, Ed, but I was confused as shit. Like,
oh, absolutely. That's what I was saying. The whole, like, any semblance of anything that could be considered a story just broke the fuck down. Like, I think at some point they profess their love for each other. Like, he calls her his girlfriend, and then
she's like, "Oh, got you! You called me your girlfriend."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Whoa, wait."
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah. That was the part that kind of like caught me off guard, and it made me like start paying attention to the video again.
Because,
like,
okay, and that's another thing. Like, throughout this entire video, this dude's like voiceover is low, and it's very like mid-heavy, I guess. So it sits in a very weird, almost inaudible place within like the context of the rest of the video audio, you know? It's inaudible at the best of times. You know?
If I could describe it, not being a producer or anyone who works with audio, I would just call it kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I would say uncomfortable. I couldn't tell you why, though. I think Ed probably described exactly why, just in words I don't understand. But yeah, it's kind of bizarre, and you notice it more in this supposedly romantic, although irrevocably confusing scene where he calls this purple skunk his girlfriend, and she's like, "Aha! You said it. You said I was your girlfriend." And then it just gets really it's hard to follow really fucking quick, because he's like, "Well, if you're a figment of my imagination, you can't really be my girlfriend, can you?" And she's like, "Oh, of course I can. Like, I'll always be here for you, and I love you." And he's like, he's about to say, "I love you too." And it's already getting weird beyond like fucking Lovecraftian proportions of weird, and he kind of stops, and he's like, "Well, I mean, what if I find somebody else?" And she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's somebody I actually love, you know? Like, I don't know. Let's see. A real girlfriend that isn't a figment of his imagination? And she's like, "Well, then I've done my job." And he's like, but I still love you." She's like, "Well, you know, that's okay. If you find the right person for you, then I know I've done what I was supposed to do, as long as you never forget me."
Jeez.
And I can't. And then they kiss, they kiss, of course, because that's...
And then she does a heavy fourth wall break that comes out of fucking nowhere. In the form of, you realize this is like the cheesiest ending ever, right?
Oh my god, yeah. Like, it's like he realized how tacky and cringy the ending scene, because they kiss, and of course there's the full moon behind them, and they're just silhouettes because, like, I don't know, anime or something. I swear to God, anime pretty much created that trope. I swear.
Yeah.
And she does the fourth wall break, and I'm sitting there like, okay, so you realized it was cheesy as fuck. You realized it was like tacky as hell. But you didn't actually give any good reason why it was a thing. Like,
this was bad. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There's really nothing on the dude who made it. Like, he's the little bit of information that's out there about him. Like, he's got the shirt, he's got the hat that, like, he wears in real life. But
please send me a picture of the fucking hat.
This is... Are you ready for this?
I don't know, Ed, but I'm gonna click it anyways. That's what I usually say before I click one of your fucking links.
My links are the cancer of the chat.
Well, oh... It's like a cowl.
Yeah.
It's a cowl with a racing stripe and, like, raccoon
dog ears. Yeah, something. I just love the expression of the guy in the foreground, like, oh my god, why is this dude here?
That guy...
He's, like, trying so hard not to look at him.
I was just about to say, if I was about, like, 15 pounds less heavy than I am, that guy could literally just be me in that same situation.
But aside from, like, those couple of little pictures and, like, some info, like, from his classmates, the people that were in the room during this, there's, like, he's taken down all the sites and everything. He played it smart, I guess.
He went into full-blown damage control mode by the looks of it, because I couldn't find shit.
That seems to have worked, because, like, he did it early enough to where nobody really got, you know, caps of everything or anything like that, which I'm fine with that. That's, you know, whatever.
Oh, yeah, more power to him. If you
can get ahead of the curve, go for it, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. If I won't retroactively do it, but I have posted some fucking autistic shit in the past, and if I had been on the ball back then and I was like, wow, that was pretty fucking retarded, maybe I should not have posted literal autism, I would have fucking done the same shit this dude did, and, like, props to him for recognizing how fucking just
dumb that shit was.
Yeah, like, I can't overuse the term autism. I'm looking for something greater in my vocabulary. It's just like, but yeah,
I think we have run this thing into the ground long enough. I'm done. I can't, like, my night is ruined.
Good.
Because it ruined yours too, didn't it?
Well, I mean, this whole podcast essentially started out as a means to ruin my nights, so just having the tables turned a little bit here is somewhat satisfying to me.
I'm sure. I don't know what it is about this particular little cartoon, but this drains me like that fucking babysitting cream game drained me.
No. Don't talk about that. Please, no.
On that note, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm done. I'm done, son.
You had a good run, but you're done. And when he tries to call his mommy daddy's number, you just gotta slap it away, slap the phone away. Oh, come on, you have to remember that.
Yeah.
That's a no.
Turtles all the way down. Y'all have a good fucking night, 'cause I sure am not.
Cut all that out, please.